That book's being published.
Well, it's not officially published. It's not published by a publisher.
It's self-published. It has a very limited distribution. In any case, we welcome you to question Baktar, assuming he's one of the entities that comes through today, or to do it privately if you wish. By the way, that's Nick Redford in the back, and we've heard him speak at various conferences, and Baktar has certain opinions that he said about him, and maybe that will come up during the channel today. In any case, we did self-publish this book with Baktar's perspective, let's call it, opinions on various people, and what Baktar does is to access the Akashic records the same way that Edgar Cayce did. All you had to do was give Edgar Cayce a name and a location where that person was, and he could give past life information and health information that helped many people cure diseases that they have or get over health problems. By the same token, I can give Baktar a name of someone in ufology, and even though Nicollette doesn't know the person, and in most cases she knew nothing about the people that I asked about, Baktar will give us information about that person. Over 300 people are profiled in our book, and a number of people, such as Jim Mars, for example, who know most of these people, have said this information is extremely accurate according to what they know about the same people. So we have had quite a bit of corroboration from people as to the accuracy of information in the book, and yet we don't claim that all of it is accurate, because any channeling is, number one, the perspective of the entity that's speaking, and they can make a mistake. Their perspective might be incorrect in some manner. They might have a bias. Or number two, because it comes through the filter of the channel, Nicollette cannot channel any information that she is strongly opposed to herself. She has to, in some manner, at least on her higher self level, accept and be willing to pass through that information. And in the passing through of that information, there may be distortion. And there are some channels who we believe are, in fact, passing through quite a bit of highly distorted information. So all of this requires discernment on the part of those of you who would be reading or listening to the channeling. And the entities that speak through Nicollette always welcome being challenged, always welcome being questioned. And that's one of the attributes of entities who we refer to as teaching entities or spiritual entities. They don't mind being challenged. There are some lower entities who do mind being challenged. They want to control people. They get upset if you challenge them. Those are not entities that you want to be followers of, that you want to be believers of.
It's important to understand something about channeling. Channeling, remote viewing, psychic interpretation, etc., etc. All of these kinds of abilities are really basically the same thing. And the fact is, when you understand the truth itself is relative, because we create our own reality with what we believe, and we recreate that every time we change our beliefs. In other words, nothing is solid, nothing is written in stone, nothing is ever truly real. Everything in this world that we think is real is a reflection of what we believe and what we're creating with our thoughts now. So when you take that into account, and then you also take into the account that any information has to, one, be translated from, let us say, thought, which is basically emotion, to then words, to a language that is very limited in being able to express some of these thoughts and emotions. Then it has to go through an entity's opinion. Then it has to go through my opinion. Then it also has to be geared for your opinion. The information is going to be different for this group than the next group, even if the same question is asked. I've watched that happen time and time again. You get a bunch of Christians asking whether or not Jesus died, and they're going to say, yes, he died. You get a bunch of metaphysics people that think that he didn't die on the cross, and they're going to say he didn't die on the cross. Which one's true? All of them are true. How is that possible? Because we create a reality every day. The real point that Baktar wanted to try to achieve with this list was not to upset anyone, not to challenge anyone in a negative way, but to offer them an opportunity to look at themselves and their procreation in a different way. He wanted me and Greg specifically took on this project, he said, because he wanted me and Greg specifically to learn to not be in judgment anymore. Because when we started this list, it was all about who are the bad guys, who's lying, and who's not lying. I want to know. Where's the real truth? And what we've learned through this progress is that there is no real truth. And you have to just simply put yourself in the other person's shoes and try and understand where they're coming from. There are a lot of people out there really trying to put out positive information. They're trying to put out as much of the truth as they can. They're being fooled. They're being manipulated. And you're getting misinformation. You yourselves hear things at these meetings, hear things on the internet, and you pass it on. You don't know whether or not you're passing on misinformation or not. It's hard to tell. It's very difficult to tell. By going to channeling sources, you have an opportunity to get a different perspective, if nothing else. So take what's true for you and accept it, and that which is not true for you, disregard it. Disregard it. It's not necessary for you to believe it. This is not gospel stuff. There just isn't such a thing. And that's what remote viewing and all of these other tasks do. And that's why you get remote viewers that come up with one thing on one group and another thing on another group. Because both of those things that those different groups got is true in one timeline or one dimension or another. The question is, which dimension are you going to be in? How are you going to create your reality?
I didn't finish the story of putting out our list. The day after we put out our list anonymously on the internet, we sent it to 75 individuals and organizations. The day after, Nicollette was channeling, and somebody interfered with her channeling using a remote kind of technology, scalar wave, some kind of beaming technology, to knock her out of trance. That was the first time that has happened.
And I wasn't the only one that saw it. There was somebody else in the room that was sensitive that also saw the beam, and she said something about the beams that she saw before I had a chance to say, because I was still reeling, waking up.
That's happened maybe half a dozen times since then, at least usually when she's channeling on some sensitive question about black government or government disinformation. We have learned how to deal with that, especially with the help of a certain archangel she has named Soldier, who is able to modulate or protect against that kind of energy. Secondly, the second day after we put out that list, a helicopter, a very large helicopter, not a black one, actually a light-colored helicopter, came over a hill, came over my house, very low elevation, circled the house once, so low that it scared me. I hid under some trees, and then flew back the way it came. And when I asked Baktar in channeling what the intention was of that helicopter, Baktar said, "I'm sorry, I can't tell you because there's psychic shielding on the occupant or occupants of the helicopter." And that's really unusual. This whole area of psychic shielding is a very interesting one. There's certain people that we can't get much information about because they are psychically shielded. The government knows a lot about this subject, although they'll deny that, and they use psychic techniques to protect information that they have, including especially from remote viewers, who they themselves trained, and then some of these remote viewers have gone out in the public arena and might be wanting information about covert government, and of course the government has to protect that information, and so they will do things to in fact distort the information that these remote viewers are picking up, and we can tell some stories about that. However, I see it's 2 o'clock, and so what we want to do now is go into the channeling and let you ask the questions.
Okay. Does everybody have their cell phones out?
And it takes her typically a couple of minutes to go into trance, so if you'll just perhaps be in a meditative state and support the atmosphere for the entities to come through.
Love and discernment. I've been told that if you want to protect yourself from false information, cross your left foot over the right. I don't know if it works, but...
Do you want a black box?
No, they're all right.
Fluorescence.
Yeah, they're high enough away from me, so. And none of them are like doing that little flicker thing when they're off. off their frequency. All right, we are prepared. All right. This is Baktar, and we are combined with Archangel Michael. Just a moment. All right. So what we are going to do is just go ahead and open it up to questions, so that as many questions can be taken care of as quickly as possible, given the time frame that we have this time. We will say that Baktar is a six-dimensional entity, not very high in most categories, just past physical. We are a combined mind of 3 races from 6 different planets on the other side of your galaxy and just a bit to the left. All right, and so you don't know our planet. We're really too far away. But we have come to be in communication with you because your history, your planet is very similar to our own. And so we are very curious about being able to share our knowledge and to be able to, let's say, study how humanity is going to go through this shift from 3rd dimension to 4th dimension, and through this 2012 period of change that you're going through. Because it was very difficult for us, and we want to be present, if you will, to experience through this channel the difficulties in which you may face, and how you will circumvent some of these difficulties. All right, so we're just going to open it up to question at this time. There's many people, so it might be easier if you do a raise of hands.
Anybody for the first question here in the front?
If the government says they have remote viewers, why haven't they found bin Laden?
Yes, that's a very good question, because we wonder that ourselves. Just the satellite technology alone is enough to be able to find this man when they wanted to be able to find him. The real question here is then, why didn't they want to find him until they did? You see? So the real question is what were they stalling about? What